Oh
So
wow, yeah, there it is. Oh, I look weird.
you look like a human being, no more than me. Look how bleached out I am.
Why is your screen like that?
I think I'm cheating. I think I have the gamma up or something like that. So it's like really dark. All right.
Oh,
Okay. Um, so you are Abby Goldsmith,
yes.
and you are the author of a series called Majority,
The
correct?
series is called The Torth. The first book is called Majority.
Do you have the entire series written,
I do.
and you're just going to release them as what, like every so often, or are they all out right now?
No, they're not all out. They're going to be coming out every 4 months. So the next one will
That's
be out in
interesting.
January, then May, then November, then two more 2025.
What's Majority about?
So Majority, the first book in the series, the there's a galactic empire and they're all it's sort of like social media on steroids. They're networked
Uh-huh.
together mentally. Yeah, so it's a little horrific. Um, you
Social
know,
media on steroids, like Black Mirror type stuff, right?
yes, yeah,
I
yeah,
love that.
exactly. So there's trillions of people, they are networked together, they vote on everything collectively. And the majority rules. And if a minority doesn't like it, then they have to either suppress their emotions, keep quiet, pretend they're on board, or they'll get killed. So, you know, the rule of the tyranny of the masses. Um, and the main character joins this society. He's kind of forced into it. He gains a mentor there. The majority has voted to enslave his loved ones, basically, but they're cool with him. They think that he's like awesome. Um, so it's kind of his whole thing is he has to escape, but everyone's reading his mind. Everybody knows what he's thinking. There's no privacy. So how do you escape when everybody's watching constantly?
How do you escape? Is that the series? Is that what you're doing? The constant trying to escape it?
No, that's just book one. So, spoiler alert, he does escape in book one with his friends. I mean, it's not that big a spoiler. I think it's kind of hopefully it's set up well enough so that people can see that that's going to happen.
You're pretty out there in terms of being a writer, aren't you? Looked at your resume. In terms of storytelling, you've got the chops, huh?
Been doing it for a really long time, a little bit madness there, yeah.
Where did you start writing? When did you start writing?
I mean, I've always been a writer, always. Like, I was doing it as a little kid. I was doing it as a teenager. Um, a first real publication that I got paid for, I was like 22. So, but my
Oh, good
student
for you.
films in college made it into some film festivals. So I
Is
wrote
that,
those.
oh wow, film festivals. What college did you go to?
Cal Arts, California
Cal
Institute of the
Arts.
Arts. Yeah, yeah, the
Oh,
California Institute of the Arts.
that's a good school for the arts, right? It's
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah, yeah.
Is it
It's great.
mentioned in 6 Feet Under? Is that the school that the protagonist, the sister goes to?
I never saw 6 Feet Under, but I wouldn't be surprised. They've done a lot of filming there.
Oh, really?
A lot of actors and think people have gone through there. Yeah. So,
All I know
yep.
is she was very proud to have gone to an art school in California, and everyone was mad at her because she wasn't. I don't remember. It was a very long time ago. I do recommend it. It's a very good show.
Oh,
Are
cool.
you from California?
I lived there for my throughout my 20s. So I went there for college and I stayed until I was 30.
Are you a part of the exodus from California to Texas?
I am, yeah.
Have you ever been to Texas prior to this?
A few times. Yeah. Yeah. I always knew Austin, Texas was kind of cool and I was considering it for a long time. Yeah.
And you moved to Austin?
Yep.
I've heard Austin's a fantastic place to live. I lived in Dallas for about a year. It was tough.
Oh,
It's hot there. The weather's weird. I'm desperately afraid of tornadoes. And it would rain and the sky would turn like purple and black and the clouds would like come down. Think to myself, I'm gonna die. And people are with, no, it's just a normal thunderstorm. I
yeah.
went through Oklahoma recently too. There are towns that don't exist anymore because of tornadoes.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. I spent a really brief time in Missouri And yeah, there was a tornado warning once when I was there, and I was like, oh my God, this is scary. Yeah.
I did my basic training in Missouri, the Ozarks.
Wow.
What were you doing there?
That was actually between California and Texas. The company I was working for, they had the base was in Missouri, and so they wanted us to train there before moving to Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you miss California at all now?
I miss it in some ways. I wouldn't want to move back there. But yeah, it had a lot of good qualities, LA. Yeah.
How much does, I mean, what flavors your fiction when you're writing? Is there a location that you pull back from your memory that you're using to kind of center your fiction or ground it?
To some degree, yeah. So like I grew up in small town northern New England, like
Oh,
basically New Hampshire.
okay.
So when I moved from New Hampshire to LA, that was a really big culture shock for me.
No doubt.
I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like, whoa, so there's a little bit of that in majority for sure. Like, the characters are in New Hampshire, they get sucked into an alien world, an alien metropolis, and it's obviously a lot more hardcore than Los Angeles, but
Tell me about your metropolis. Is it resemble Los Angeles at all, or is it something else? A little
to
more
some
alien. And that's
degree,
that is fantastic to me that you are an author that's coming from New Hampshire to Los Angeles, right? That's where
yeah,
that it's fine. Very similar to the narrative that you're painting here, isn't it?
it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. That culture shock really got me. So,
And
you know, moving from LA to Texas was no big deal compared to that. Um,
moving from LA to Texas,
yeah,
it's downshifting in a way, isn't it?
it is.
It is massively. I mean, I guess you have traffic, but you think every city is huge, like the one that you live in, but when you get there, it's like, well, tiny. Los Angeles is gigantic. It just goes on forever and ever and ever. And Austin actually does have a city limit.
It's true. And also I'd say like I moved there in my formative years. So it's like, things make a really big impression on you when you're like 18, 19, 20. Like those are like the years where you're really becoming an adult. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went from like very small town, everyone knows each other, everyone's up in their business. Um, there's a certain culture in New England. People are very buttoned up. They're very, it's Yankee stoicism. They don't really talk to each other very much.
Yeah.
And and then LA, where the school I went to was an international art school, like one of the top art schools for,
Yeah.
for animation. So everybody that
Oh,
wants to
really?
work for Disney or Pixar goes there. So
Is that you have a stand behind you?
yeah,
Is that your art?
it is. Yes, I drew this. These are the characters in my series, and I drew them. So
You want to
yeah,
put that a
it's
little bit closer so we can take a look at it?
sure. Yeah. And they're on my website, honestly, if you just go to abbygoldsmith.com. They're at the bottom of the website. But yeah, there's a little bit of glare on there. But
So you were
I
an
mean,
animator. That's what you went to school for.
yes, yeah.
That's so cool. And the
Thanks.
film that the script, or you actually did a film,
Yeah, I did 4 different student films while I was there,
all of them animated.
all animated. Yep.
That's so cool. What kind of animation style?
Well,
I mean,
that
I
was
see
all
the kind of
hand
style of
drawn.
art that we're working on, but
Yeah, so I don't want to date myself too much. I feel a little embarrassed about how long ago this was. But okay, look, it was like right around when Toy Story came out. So so 3D animation was like a brand new thing at the time. It was like an up and coming thing.
mhm.
People were The school I went to, Cal Arts, at the time, this is no longer the case, but at the time 3D animation wasn't taught there yet. To them that was like, oh, that newfangled thing. So I wanted to become a 3D animator, but they just weren't teaching it. So I learned hand drawn animation.
That's
Old
awesome.
style, yeah.
Does that help you now? I assume you've switched over to electronic, or you or not
Yeah.
electronic, but did digital? Is that all
Yeah.
whole thing?
Well,
Digital?
3D, yeah. Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
what
and
do you, what do
sure.
you use as far as software?
Well, 3D Studio Max
Oh,
is
okay.
like what I use mostly. And then back in the day when I was doing 2D sprite animation, I used Cosmogo's Promotion and I used Flash, Adobe Flash at the time.
Okay.
I know they've changed that now, but yes.
Well, what is it now? It's Animate or something like that.
Yes, it's Adobe Animate, and a lot of people use Procreate as well, and Toon Boom.
Procreate's more Apple, I think. I'm not quite sure though. I've never played. I have an Apple product, but I've never played with it. I'm
Yeah,
a Photoshop guy.
fair
I'm
enough.
a photo basher, and it looks like you're doing it from sketch on, huh? Doing the coloring and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have kind of gotten out of the animation industry a bit. It's a hard industry to be
Well,
in.
you're hand drawn. Does that mean that you were in that animating union or that animator union?
Tangential to it. I worked in video games. I went into video
Oh,
game
okay.
animation for right after college. Basically Disney laid off their entire 2D department the year I graduated. So
That sucks, man. God, I hate Disney so much. I hear stuff like that. I hear how awful they are to people. And they went digital, right? And the digital guys, they're not in a union, right? The 2D guys are. It's like, all right, you go away. We're just going to use these other guys that we can take advantage of. And I think they're unionizing now, which is really fantastic.
yeah, I've heard it's gotten better, and I still have friends that still work in TV and film animation, but yeah, I've gotten out of the industry. So
If it was a healthier industry, if it wasn't so toxic, would you still be there? Is that a weird question? That's a weird
no,
question.
that's absolutely true. And yes.
So you didn't find something better, you just like gave up the ghost on this horribleness, because that's what it feels like to me. I
Yeah.
played with the film industry too, and I just never had a good experience. It was always like, you're the boss, but you're treating me kind of awful. You know what I mean? It's always like that.
It really is. I mean, yeah, I actually wrote a standalone novel kind of like that really goes into my my experiences working in on video games. The main character is a gamer girl, and boy does she have some trouble. But
Right?
anyway,
Is
but
this
yeah, that's
after or before Gamergate?
it was after. But I
Yeah.
mean, so yeah, like I wasn't really involved in Gamergate. I was already out of the industry by that time that happened. Um, but but yes, like it's not just toxic attitudes, it's more like the whole industry is just very poorly set up. It's the arts. All of the arts, I think, are having these kind of problems where it's like there's like five publishers or four publishers, and they have all the power in the industry. And so it's just a race to the bottom for everybody else. It's like, who can underbid? Who can we like undercut our competitors even more? Can we like cut corners even more? Let's do it for the cheapest possible. Um, so it just ends up being like everything's outsourced to Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. Um,
Yeah.
and you're
North
competing with like,
Korea. A
yeah,
lot
I
of stuff
mean,
goes there for animation, doesn't it?
not North Korea because they're cut off from the world. They're isolated. They don't want them on the
I
internet.
hear they have an animation thing. That
Maybe
people
they do. I haven't heard that. I know
they
there's a lot in
put
South
their
Korea.
South Korea.
Yes, South Korea has a big
It's
one.
absolutely horrible, because you're absolutely right. There are five companies out there just banking while on the backs of basically slave labor, while everybody else is starving. It's an amazing world that we live in. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
basically just to sell Tide. You know what I mean? That's the only reason they do it. They're not doing it for any other reason than to have a 30-second commercial for some product they want you to buy. It's the only reason animation, TV shows, movies exist, just for that right there.
Yeah.
Um, I do believe that the means of production kind of fell in the creator's lap, though, in a way, with the advent of artificial intelligence. How do you feel about
Oh, don't get me started on
advent of
that.
this technology?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think it's great for certain things. So my husband's a game developer,
Okay.
and yeah, and he finds it like, it can be useful. Like it does help him a little bit with programming. I'm sure it's great in the technology and medical fields because, rapid iteration of kind of uncreative tasks is really what it's good at. Um, I don't
I
think it
would say
belongs anywhere else.
it's really good at fostering creativity too, especially if you're going to ask
No.
it questions. No, I'm saying your creativity. And I like that it's winding up in medical institutes too, because if you ask it a question, your mind is the one that's working on the answer too. So it might bring you to a different place than you were going to go originally.
I suppose, yeah, yeah. I think if you look at it that way, like as just kind of like, as a better Google, then
It is,
yes,
yeah,
which
hands-on Google.
it is. It's a better Google. But I would never outsource my creativity or originality to AI. I mean, it's not creative. It
That
is
you're
not
not going to take
original.
something that was generated from AI and then solely use it.
No,
You're
I would
going
never
to,
do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, it's interesting though, because the industry, corporate America, has been using AI for decades now, right? I mean, when Star Wars came out in 1999, the whole thing was the computer graphics that they put in place behind
I
all the
wouldn't call
actors.
that AI. That's a lot of people working on that. There's like,
It's not one person though plugging in those bits and points. It's computer putting those points and bits together so that it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not a human doing it. Photoshop is
okay,
great.
I'm gonna
You know what I
push
mean? I
back on that.
love Photoshop. Photoshop is fantastic, but it's not the human using Photoshop that does all the magic. Photoshop behind the scenes is just crunching so much information to make
It
stuff
is.
happen. Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
That's
but
kind of not maybe artificial intelligence in terms of like um what's being used now, but it's sort of kind of like that in my mind.
to some degree, I mean, it's good at, like I said, it's good at like very mindless, uncreative tasks. So all the repetition, all the stuff that you don't want to do, it's good at that,
All the
which is
original
fine.
thinking, the brainstorming is so beautiful. That's what I'm using it for. I just love the
Brainstorming?
ideas. Yeah, brainstorming, chat GPT. Give
See,
me
yeah, I
information.
know. I don't believe that at all. No. Like, what do you like? Why? Why would you have it brainstorm for you? That's the fun part.
You know, the fun part's the writing, isn't it? I mean, at this stage, I have so much writing, and I'm sure you do too, that the editing process is actually the killer for me because I'm an indie guy. I'm not going to go to, I have no way to go to a publishing house and say, hey, do all this hard work for me. You know, I'm working on my third novel in a series now, and you know, that's all I've done for like the last few years is just edit, you know, make sure there's as little mistakes as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, it's good to have like pro writing aid or something catch the grammatical errors. Um, I don't mind that at all. But yeah, no, I wouldn't have it do any of the actual like, if I want to restructure a sentence, I want to do it my way. If I
My thought
want to
today
describe
was
something,
it's kind of like having a wife in the background.
oh,
Hey,
life in
hey,
the background.
babe, remember that thing that happened that one day? What was that called? It's just you type it in, it tells you what it is. I've fixed so many technical problems just by telling it in vague words what the information is. It's very helpful. It prevents me from having to need an assistant. You know, it's very helpful in terms of getting stuff done. You've not used it for anything creative so far,
No, no, I mean, I want to tell my own stories. Like that's part of the reason I am a writer. Like I wouldn't want it any other way. I mean,
but you are kind of writing about the social media aspects, right? And
yeah.
you can't avoid the idea of bots. You know, they say the internet. Have you heard the dead internet theory?
Refresh me on what that is. I know I've heard it, but
The dead internet theory is that you're pretty much only talking to bots when you're on
right.
Twitter or Reddit. You know, there's nobody out there actually engaging with anybody else. We're just all content creators. And there's thousands of bots, you know, liking you or not liking you, arguing with you or saying you're a genius, one or the other. You're actually never talking to a human.
I have some suspicion that most of social media is it's other it's art marketers and artists marketing to each other.
It
Um,
really is.
yeah, it is. Like I think actual like people that are just going about their lives are not spending a lot of time on social media.
They're telling jokes, right? The kids are memeing all over the place. And if you do
Right.
look at the content that's incredibly popular, it's all personality driven, right? It's these guys that are just capable of capturing the attention of a whole room by being whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, there's some of that for sure.
being able to talk into the camera, you know, the eye, and then make you, the viewer, think that you're being engaged with also.
Yeah.
Maybe. But do you handle the idea of bots in your writing?
I
You're
have, yeah. So not in the series, not in the Torth series, but I've written a standalone that is, yeah, basically humans are being enslaved in vats and it's like the Matrix type of thing, and they are being forced to act as chatbots. So the companies are outsourcing chatbot duties to these people because they're better at it than the chatbots. They're wage slaves.
they are they asleep in their vats and they're just using their mental energies?
They're conscious. They're being forced to, basically act as chatbots, like as personal assistants to anybody, to the end user. Yeah.
Not a bad existence, right? They get fed through tubes. They get a house. They get to
Right.
live on the
They can
internet.
earn fake coins, and they can like earn like bonuses and wings and things like
Oh
that.
man, if a
Yeah.
Filipino grandma can come over to this country and be somebody's housekeeper for 10 years so that her son can go to college, I can see people doing that, actually
Yeah.
giving up their freedom to just let their kids have more than they have. It's sad, yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's like, so you like, I bet you like Black Mirror.
I've seen a couple episodes. Like, yeah, I tend to like characters I can root for. Like I tend to want more in character. But yeah, I like the ideas.
Where are
Yeah.
you getting your main inspiration for this? I mean, it sounds like a big world, right? You've
Yeah.
written a sort of serialized story with um with Majority, but you've written a lot of short fiction that kind of falls into this world too, in a way. It sounds like anyway.
Yeah, I kind of like to extrapolate current trends and like, do I like I don't want to say social commentary, but it is kind of. It's like commentary on the world we're in.
That's your job, right? As a science fiction author, is to commentate on our society in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I like like taking some problem that our society's facing and then exaggerating it to like, 10x or 100x through the lens of science fiction. So I can really explore it and dive really deep into it.
Do you think that we're heading to a good place with social media
No.
and our usage? Can it be turned around? Can it be corrected? Is there a way to fix it? Or
Um,
are we really just so close to the cliff that it doesn't matter if we step on the brakes or not? We're just getting over it.
I think we're having growing pains and it could go either way. I mean, I hope obviously that it gets better. So to be honest, like my husband and like he's building up a game, I'm helping him out with it. And I think that could be a great like it's a browser-based game. And here's the thing with social media, it's not fun. Like the fun has kind of been sucked out of it. Um so we're kind of thinking like, a game where people want to spend time in the world, like visiting a Ren fair or something, where it kind of encourages role playing. It encourages the fun factor and it's still kind of social media, but like you can see like glimmers of it in like VR chat, like not
Mhm.
that that's really taken off yet in any way, but I think there's ways for people to have fun in large group settings where it's like anonymous, but that the fun has been sucked out with Twitter and Facebook.
I think you're onto something. I've read an article recently about the trend going forward being smaller groups of people intimating with each other. Not millions, but
Yeah.
1,000, or maybe even just 100 of people that are in the same type of community, or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's helpful
Underneath
too.
you,
Yeah.
Abby Goldsmith's community, or I've seen a lot of authors and communities developed under personalities, small
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I'm kind of doing that a bit with Discord too. Like I'm in a lot of Discord servers and it's true. There's some that I really enjoy being in and I'm like, "Oh, it's those cool people again." Yeah.
How do you notice the interactions going? Is it more friendly, or is it kind of how did you do this, or how are the interactions on Discord for you?
Oh, they're good. I mean, so I have my own server for my books. Obviously I like interacting with readers. Um, so that yeah, I don't know, it's fun. And I have a number of writing Discords I'm in, and that is a little more, sometimes there's like friendly camaraderie or there's competitive bullshit. So, I think I'm just kind of I say writers are narcissists, most are. I mean, like
And we deny it too. There's no we're so empathetic, right? There's no way I can be a jerky,
oh, there's so
whatever it is.
many. Yeah, there's so many that are like, we're all just cheering for each other. Rising tide lifts all boats, and then they'll stab
No,
someone
it
in the back.
doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay.
No, I have experienced a little bit of that myself. Yeah, authors are, we think that we're geniuses and everybody else is foolish.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's difficult. And plus, if you notice what's happening on Amazon, is a lot of people are publishing books with like no content in them or minimum content. It really takes away from everybody's ability to make money. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
exact opposite of what's happening in corporate America, where a few are benefiting. Now they're just spamming, hoping to make a little bit of money. A little bit.
Yeah.
Like they still hundreds and hundreds of books, like a penny. So stealing from everybody else who puts a lot of effort into it, I think anyway, right? The
Yeah.
algorithm is like going negative against us, writing people.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And
Yeah, I mean, well, the algorithm has been favoring rapid release for a long time, like quantity over quality. So, because basically people that release stuff very quickly and a lot of it they're more visible. They're just period. They're more visible on Amazon and on every platform, on Wattpad, on RoyalRoad, on everywhere. So, because of that, writers are now being there's a drive to just produce, never mind quality, just produce as much as possible. If you can get AI to generate it for you, do that. If you can outsource it, do that. And yeah, it's devaluing creativity and art entirely. So I think readers that's not doing anything good for readers.
No, you have the typewriter back in the day, right? Hemingway sitting there with a piece of paper and tapes over words and writes in replacements. And there's first draft, there's a bunch of tags floating on the sides. And all of a sudden, somebody breaks out a word processor and says, "Hey, Ernest, why don't you just use one of these?" I mean, I know he's dead by that point, but that guy spent his entire career callousing every single one of his fingers in this thing. And all of a sudden, somebody can go ahead and use a word processor, replace words, spell check. How much cheating is that? You know what I mean? And then the word processor changes completely, and I have Grammarly and stuff like that. I do believe that AI is a tool, and it's not going to go away any more than the word processor did, right?
Oh, it won't go away
What
any
can
more
it
than
help
bit
you
torrenting
develop?
goes
You're
away.
like your husband's doing the game that he's doing. Those bits and pieces that you miss, AI might be able to fill in the gaps, right?
The bits and pieces that I miss. What do you mean?
I don't know. The project that you're working on. I mean, you don't know what you're missing because you're missing it.
I don't want any machine. Honestly, I don't
But
want it
you
to
do
do the
though.
quote thinking for me. It doesn't think. I want like it's my art, it's my creativity, it's my original stuff, it's my innovation. It can't innovate. All it can do is echo what everyone else has done.
And you're
It
the
can't.
one that's innovative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing's already been invented. It's already been an innovation. Now it's just a thing, a tool, like a hammer. At one point, a hammer was a brand new thing, but now it's just something that you use to nail and nails. You wouldn't want to do that
Yeah.
without a hammer because it would be pointless. You wouldn't want to go out in the backyard and get a rock. You have a hammer now. A hammer's the best tool.
I wouldn't want it to take away my voice to like do like, generate a story that I'm not on board with. Like it's just not for me. Honestly, this is why I'm not a ghostwriter. I'm not just spewing out words for the heck of it or to make money. There's easier ways to make money in this world than being a writer. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's mainly what a lot of the confusion is that people think that the AI is just generating. In fact, the problem isn't it? The AI is generating a lot of the content right now.
Yeah.
People are cheating. I had a little bit of an anxiety attack the other day thinking about this is over with. We're never going to be able to sell another book again. You know what I mean? We're never going to be able to. They're lumping everybody into the same boat, whether or not you use AI for creating your content or not. How can
Maybe.
they tell? There's no way to tell. And if you're writing original stuff with original cover art and original typesetting or whatnot, you're no different than the guy who's using AI.
I
There's no
disagree.
way to tell. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, Abby's the perfect one." No, Abby's lumped up with the other guy who put in a bunch of crap.
If somebody can mistake my work for AI generation, then I failed as a writer. That's
I think
not
you've had a
that's not cool.
community though for a while though, right?
Yeah,
How long would you say you've been building your community?
7 years.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's the right amount of time. That's about when Facebook started to pop and Kindle started to come out. And I think you nailed it. So you get to keep that community going forward. It's hard. I think it's impossible nowadays to do what you did, to gather a community,
It
one piece at a
might,
time.
I don't know. Royal Road is a great platform for that. Like I'm gonna sing its praises. I mean, look, it's not perfect, it's got its issues, but there's nothing else like it right now, and I sure wish there was. Um, it definitely it allows a new author, brand new with no following, to have visibility.
Mhm.
If you play the game correctly and rapid release and all that. So, but it does allow like there's hope there, and I think there's room for other platforms like that. I don't see why not.
Where does that hope lead? What do you think? What are you aiming for at the end of the day? Is it a
Being a
house
best-selling author.
or is it best selling
What
author?
do you think? I mean, yeah. I mean, of course I'd love my own theme park, J.K. Rowling style. But I'll settle for being a best-selling author with millions of fans. That'd be great too.
And we even have another J.K. Rowling. That was prior to the 21st, the 20th century happening.
I do agree with you on that. I think the door kind of slammed behind her. Um, what she did was she kept her ebook rights, and that is no longer possible. No publisher is ever going to let somebody keep their ebook rights in this day and age.
That's
So,
like George Lucas getting the merchandising rights.
right, right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know where the publishing industry is going, especially for indies like us. It almost seems like that FCC thing that happened about 8 years ago just locked everybody out independently.
What FCC thing? I'm not sure I've heard about this.
Man, I'm gonna mess it up. But during Trump's presidency, they called it the new internet, and it just basically wanted to make sure that you were you in a way. So corporations had a higher stake in things. I'm gonna mess it up. So you haven't heard of the thing that went down? They faked all those signatures on the petition that went to the FCC.
No, I mean, honestly, like I don't pay all that much attention to the real world news these days. It's kind of embarrassing. But it all seems the same to me.
No, I
So
totally messed up the story. I'm obviously there's a bunch more details, but this whole dead internet thing is very interesting. It does feel like there's nobody real out there anymore, which is kind of important if you're going to be writing books.
I do see indie authors hand selling print copies at conventions, at Comic Cons, that sort of thing, and I might give that a try.
Have you not already? Have you not been a convention girl?
Not really. No, this is my first print copy ever.
That's a
Of a
thick
full
one.
book. I know
Wow.
it's a thick one. Um, I'll be having 6 more in the next 2 years, so
And they're
um,
all written.
they're all written. Yes,
Wow.
I've been
That's
busy.
100,000 words, right?
This one is 200,000 words.
Whoa.
So yeah, the whole series is over 1,000,000 words. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time on it. I serialized it online. I built an audience. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I plan to do another one. And I'm gonna try to take myself less seriously next time and try to
Can't
not be so
imagine
crazy.
Terry Pratchett looking himself in the mirror and thinking, I'm a genius. And that guy had to have had fun. You know what I mean? That he had to
Totally.
have enjoyed himself.
That's exactly it. Yeah, a lot of the indie author sensations I've seen, like the people who are real success stories this day and age, who just took off in the last 2 years, they are not taking themselves seriously. They're just like, yeah, I wrote this
No,
silly thing. It's
that's
cool.
a good point. It seems
Yeah,
almost like the next generation doesn't want you to take yourself seriously. In fact, if you take yourself seriously, they're going to write you off as somebody they're not want to pay attention to. Mr.
yeah, that's
Beast does not
exactly.
take himself seriously. He does. I mean, if you look at some of those behind the scenes things, he really does take his stuff seriously, but he wants it to feel like it's aloof, like it just
It's so
happened.
true. Yeah, like the ones I've noticed, it's like they take themselves very seriously, but they really look like they're not. And so I'm like, all right, like there's something going on here. They've figured something out.
Yeah, they'll pretend like this is a joke, but man, you can tell they're sweating.
Yeah,
They're sweating the content a lot. Do you
exactly.
do that? Are you just a writer, or are you kind of you were a filmmaker at one point. You said you don't do animation anymore, right?
Right.
But then you have YouTube, which is like the perfect vehicle for somebody like you that can generate that kind of content.
Yeah.
Discussing definitely we were on the AI subject. You're anti AI. And
Yeah.
then we were talking about your community, and in terms of J.K. Rowling, that whole impossibility of ever doing that again, and how it feels like people are just being aloof with their content, just throwing things out there, going, oh, "I did not care about this at all."
Yeah, exactly. People not taking themselves seriously as authors, or giving the veneer that they are not. I think that the ones, there's plenty that are still taking themselves seriously, but
But they all take
yeah,
themselves seriously, right?
right, right, exactly. If you've been emotionally investing every day of your life for 20 years, you know, there's a big sunk cost going on there.
Right. I really find it interesting, especially in terms of YouTube. I'm fascinated with the entire idea of YouTube, just watching how it's evolved from these really small channels to what it is now, right? Everybody's an LLC. secretly it's a corporation being involved, all these little backdoor things are happening. Um,
Oh yeah, like it's so funny. I have a coworker that he's got like 600,000 YouTube subscribers,
Crazy.
and he just kind of he's like, he decided to make a YouTube channel. Um, anyway, who knew? And
I mean,
honestly, I don't think
I
he's
find it,
qualified.
I find it so interesting. A lot of the people that have these successful YouTube channels have some kind of math background, some kind of engineering degree, some kind of computer thing. It's like, wow, guys, what's going on? But none of them were like in college going, I want to be a actor or a writer. No, they're like, I'm going to learn this algorithm or whatnot and just be really on top of things. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Math, right? Who would have thunk it? Except all those math teachers who told me to pay attention. I just never wanted to. What did you get your degree in, if you don't mind me asking? Oh,
Oh
that's right,
yeah.
animation,
Yep,
animation.
animation. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like me. You're like everybody's telling you, no, 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 do something else. You're never gonna find a job in that. I got mine in English.
Yeah.
I just do not know what the future has in store for us. I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, honestly, they're all the degrees are a little iffy. Like I have a friend that was kind of forced into becoming a lawyer by her parents, and then the that whole job field got oversaturated, and it was very hard for her to find a job, and she wasn't happy doing it anyway, and that kind of stuff happens. Yeah,
Yeah, right. The oversaturation of the law field. I
yeah,
mean, if you're one of those people who racked up $100,000 in student loans because you're looking for job security, it wasn't going to happen. Or the
right,
job was going to make you work like 16, 18 hours a day.
right.
And I mean, I live in New York City. It's not fun here. You know what I mean? It's not fun anymore anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's expensive, right? I mean, that's super
You're
expensive.
super expensive living accommodations that you don't really want to be in. Like the past was the whole thing was you rent the apartment so you can be in the city. You never want to see the inside of your apartment because you're out there enjoying it. There's really nothing to enjoy now. You know what I mean? You were in Los Angeles. You know exactly what I'm saying. It is like what was that prison movie with Kurt Douglas? Not Kurt Douglas, but Escape from New York. You ever seen
Escape
that?
from
Escape from
LA.
LA?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's been two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's seriously like that's our reality nowadays. Everything is just completely like apocalyptic. I used to live in the East Village. I'd leave my apartment at 4 o'clock to walk my dog before I go for a jog. And I would watch people beat the crap out of each other. I'd walk
Oh my
past homeless
gosh.
people going, are you alive or dead? And I didn't want to find out because if it was alive, I might be instigating some horrible nightmare on myself if I found out.
Oh,
And just leave everybody alone. I mean, I'm not even human with these other human beings. Everybody's out to get you. You never want to trust anybody. It's not even like we're in a society anymore. So civilization is dead.
oh. Well, that's
I mean,
terrible. Yeah.
what are your plans?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, yeah, that's pretty far from my experience. I mean, I live in like suburbs basically. So,
In
there's still
Austin.
some homeless people here though. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about Joe Rogan?
About sorry, what?
Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan? Um, I mean, you mean how does everyone in Austin feel or how do I feel personally? I mean,
Let's start with Austin.
yeah.
I think I know how you feel now.
Right. Austin is a purple city. So, and I actually kind of like that. It does have a nice blend where I would actually prefer to not be in a full-on red or full-on blue area. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Texas is kind of purple.
it is. Yeah,
They almost
Austin
went blue
especially.
this last time.
Well, yeah, I mean they say the cities are blue and the suburbs and rural areas are red. But yeah, there's a blend going on for sure.
I think there's a lot of cheating going on.
That could
In a
be.
lot of those rural counties that nobody lives in. It was a lot. Like I said, I drove through Oklahoma a few years ago and I saw complete towns devastated by tornadoes. I wonder how many people voted from that town that was devastated by tornadoes.
Ugh.
All of Oklahoma is painted red, but nobody lives in these towns except for like 3 people.
Oklahoma is especially empty. I mean, I've driven through the state and it's pretty amazing how empty that state is. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas feels like that too on the west side. Feels pretty empty.
It's true. Yeah, on the west side. But I would say, I mean, I know Texas is the second most populated state behind California. And you can tell the Austin to Dallas to San Antonio corridor is all urban. Yeah,
No, it's like one megatopolis, right? It's
it
one of those
is. It's
gigantic
one
cities.
mega gigantic city. Yeah.
I think New York has actually like 48 million people in it or something like that. It goes all the way down to Washington, D.C. It's incredible what we've done to this planet. If you look at Google Maps, you zoom up a little bit, you look at the area that I live in or that you live in over there, it's just like this gray scab with little tiny green sprouts popping up through it.
Oh, it's
And I
true.
don't know.
Yeah.
Are you when you write, are you writing a dystopia or are you writing a outlook that has a little bit of sunshine on it?
Honestly, I go for the sun. I'm trying to go for the sunshine. So my instinct was to end, in tragedy and make it a big crash and burn type of thing. But I was kind of talked out of that by readers. And I'm actually glad they did talk me out of it because I think there's enough dystopia. Like I grew up in the 1990s and the 2000s and everything was dark. Stephen King and Anne Rice ruled the at the time. Yeah, they ruled the bestseller list at the time. Let's just put it that way. you know Michael Crichton was up there. There were some, basically a lot of these were just kind of dark, like, oh, dinosaurs are going to rampage through the town. And right now there's like more of a lighthearted, like cozy fantasy thing going on where it's like, oh, people are just
We killed Superman. We did it twice. Didn't we kill him before? I don't know if we killed him before. We killed Superman.
who
We
did
killed the Bastion of Light, right?
yeah.
The Golden Man. We killed him in a movie. I don't understand. Every movie wants to destroy New York. I feel like we're
I don't know, sorry. um
like
I mean, right, yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
like
There's a
I
lot.
feel like you're wrong about the 90s because everything was like colorful and completely unrealistic, right? You had no plot lines made sense. These big giant muscle guys with bazookas, basically. Nowadays, everybody's a terrorist. At least everybody's a CIA agent trying to stop the next terrorist attack. It's so sad.
I guess, I guess there's a difference between movies and books. Like that's the difference. Maybe books are like ahead of the curve or behind the curve or something. I have no idea. But there's
Yeah, I guess
something
it's
different going
interesting
on.
that your readership wanted a positive ending, and
Yes.
you said books have positive endings, and the other media is more dark. That's fascinating.
I'm seeing that everywhere. Like right now I'm reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, which
Oh,
is,
I know that guy. Do I know that
yeah,
guy? I know that
uh,
guy. I think I know that guy.
you might know him. He's in
He's
he's
an
in our
indie guy,
circles.
right?
He's an indie guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, his book shot right up to like the number one bestseller on Audible. And so
I love
yeah,
reading
it's
stories
great.
like that. That's
And
awesome.
and this is what I'm saying is like, so it's dark, it's a lot of violence, but it's laughable. It's dark humor. It's funny, it's cute, there's like a talking cat, it's like cute. And that's kind of seems to be what's in right now. Like I think people want to break from all the darkness outside.
We killed Iron Man just recently too. Yeah, man, we don't want that stuff anymore. We want to laugh and have a good time. And honestly, that's one of the bigger tells, right? If you look at the Snyderverse, if you know what that word means, it was dark. It was horrible. It was bleak. It was like, why would you want to watch that? People want to watch Guardians of the Galaxies and have a good laugh while things are
Yeah.
happening.
That exactly. Like yeah, like the dark Batman, dark Superman stuff isn't doing as well as Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters even.
Failing completely, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You had the Joker made $1 billion, but that was realistic, right? They tried to go for the realism.
yeah.
And the Batman too, right? The one with the vampire guy is realistic too. Um, the realism or kind of funny, right? The show with the wrestler, what was his name? John Cena.
I haven't seen it.
You didn't see
No,
that? I can't remember the name of
no.
it though. It was so good. He was in the Suicide Squad also. It was so funny. It was so good, and people loved it. And there's been tons of these little dark shows that have come out that have tried to, make us cry or whatever. We just don't want to deal with it. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you think is going to happen? What are you working on after you've already written your series? Are you on your next project right now?
I am. Yeah. New epic series. I'm trying to keep all this stuff in mind, like make it a little lighter. Don't, murder everybody right away.
Right.
Kind of
Wait until the end.
wait until the end. Yeah, like don't make it like, so here's the thing. Like, so in the Torth series, like the evil empire is right in your face right away in book one. They're just like horrible. So the next one I'm writing, the evil empire is off in the distance. You don't really meet them right away. No, they're awful, but I'm not going to make it like a slog of like, oh my god, you have to defeat these really overpowered bad guys. No, it's going to be more like you can train and learn and have some fun, and then you have to defeat a few bad guys. So that seems to be like, I think that's really what audiences want right now, but it's also I understand. I mean, like people are sick of it, and I'm a little sick of darkness as well. So yeah.
Speaking of creativity, because that was kind of a topic that we're talking about with AI. Are you a genre writer? Do you write for a specific genre when you put your stories together? What's the genre?
Well, I mean, I'm writing science fiction and fantasy. You know,
For
they
adults or for
blend.
children?
For adults.
For adults, okay.
Yeah.
Um, how do you handle the violence? Are you just writing? Or are you trying to curb it? Are you trying to put a little bit of a G rating on it? Or do you want blood to splatter all over the pages?
I tend, I grew up on Stephen King, and I'm a big fan of Scott Sigler and a lot of like kind of more violent authors. So yeah, my instincts are to splatter the blood, but I am honestly like I think there's a place for graphic violence and graphic sex, and I don't really want like to be super, super graphic and gory. That's not the point of my books. To me that's gratuitous, or it can be, and so no, I don't have that as like gratuitous blood everywhere, but I have, yeah, there's violence in my books.
I tend to stop, right? I don't want to show all of it right up until it just becomes the 15 minutes of fighting, right? You don't need the 15 minutes of fighting.
That's exactly, yeah.
You don't need the love scene because it doesn't do anything. You want the story to move.
Yeah.
That just sits still for a couple minutes. You want everything that moves up to that scene because it's really exciting.
Oh, totally.
Feels good.
I've been reading a lot of lit RPG, and it's like for me, like one of my big complaints with it is like it'll in book two or three or four, it'll start dwindling into just these big melee battles. It's just battle after battle after battle and stat after stat, and it's like it to me it's boring. Like I
Oh,
want plot.
terribly.
Yeah.
I was reading to my kids. I was reading them the first Star Wars book. It's horrible. God, it was so bad. George Lucas is a really awful writer. But it gets to the end, and the last chapter is the battle scene of, when they blow up the Death Star. It's just this guy shoots that guy. I got so tongue-tied reading, I just stopped, put it down, and my kids were so happy. They weren't even following the action. They were just so bored, crapless. Yeah, it just sucks. The sex or violence that you build up or battle scenes that you build up, that's not really the important part, unless you're writing a history, right? And then you just got to be really specific about the details.
Right. Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about what you're working on? Or is that
Sure. Oh, I know. I'm a writer. I'm happy to talk about myself and my projects. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the next one, it's a big epic fantasy series. The basic premise is the costs of magic, like spellcraft, have been skyrocketing. Peasants don't know why. Kind of out of control price inflation going on, and magic costs the blood of innocents. So you don't really want that kind of thing to be inflation oriented, right? So yeah, so the main character basically reinvents magic from the ground up and does it in a much more efficient way. So he's basically fighting a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of like inefficiencies in the system. It's my take on making fun of the healthcare system in America. A little bit.
it needs to be made fun of?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you lampooning it specifically? By saying that, tell me about it. Tell me how you're doing it.
I mean, yeah, like basically the system is horrible. The incentives are all wrong. It's basically rewarding people that do it in the worst way possible and punishing people that are trying to innovate. So, that's very much the evil empire has got that going on in my series. And the main character, he's a total innocent who's outside the system completely. And he grows up in a different nation, doesn't know anything about this, and he's introduced to it. And he comes in with like rosy-eyed young person kind of like, oh, so this is how you do it, teach me. And he goes to the magic school and all that, and it's just ludicrous. Like he's already like invented a lot of this stuff on his own in a much better way. So he's like, well, why don't you do it this way? And there's all these reasons they have, dumb reasons. But the system is just it's a bad system. It's set up in a way that is causing a lot of pain.
Nobody likes the dark horse. Comes in and starts changing things up.
Right, exactly. So then, yeah, people are going to try to kill him and all that. Yes.
What do you do for a living? Are you in the healthcare industry yourself?
No, but I did suffer from cancer recently.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been, and everyone, I think we all know somebody who's been a victim of some kind of healthcare issue.
Yeah.
We don't have,
You
it's
can
not
hear
so
my
good.
voice. It's the same thing. The doctor says it's baby cancer. Shut up.
Baby cancer. Oh no.
I have to go through surgeries occasionally and have polyps ripped off my out of my throat.
Oh, I'm
I'm sorry to
sorry.
hear about your struggles, but yeah, you had to go through it, right? And it's scary and it's dirty and it's like they're gonna do something wrong, and am I gonna wake up from this or that, or am I gonna take a pill that overlaps something else, or grapefruit
That's
juice?
exactly.
You know what I mean? You could drink a glass of grapefruit juice with some of
Oh
the
yeah.
drugs they give you nowadays. It's horrible.
And there's a lot of misdiagnosis going on. Like there's no incentive really for the care to reach the actual patient.
I mean,
So
obesity being as prevalent in our society as it is, a lot of doctors can't treat all of the symptoms because it's really the obesity that's causing them. The
yeah.
doctors are like, lose weight, and if you still have the problems, then we'll cure them. But right now, you've got a bigger problem. Your body's dying from too much fat.
Yeah, there's that.
And
That's for
that's the
sure.
FDA, right? I wonder why the FDA is not being sued. They were supposed to protect us.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you can't protect everyone from themselves. Like there's a lot
It's
of
being
problems.
sold. It's like a drug. It's like a horrible addictive drug, this corn syrup stuff
Mm.
or whatever they're doing. I don't even know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, that's it. Like there's the problems are society wide. I don't think it's just like, the healthcare industry doesn't exist in isolation. Yeah, the food distribution industry, like the incentives are to make things cheap and make them accessible. And here's how we're going to do it. Where if we have to cut corners, then we're going to do that. Like there are a lot of systems in our society that are pretty regressive. And so,
About it,
yeah,
like 80 years ago, we were starving, right? And we were
right. Yeah.
standing in bread lines. Before World War II, we had a lot of poverty. We went to that war. We invented the atomic bomb, and we were sitting pretty from that point on, right? I think the nuclear energy has allowed us to invent things. Well, why? It's such a weird time period. We've really messed up our bodies, though. That stuff was poisonous. Destroyed our children's um, hormones to the point where they mature faster, and your cancer potentially was caused by what you ate
It's
or
possible, yes.
how it was grown. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues in our society. I mean, I like to lampoon that kind of stuff. Like I did it in the Torth series, and I'm doing it in my new series. So, to me, like I think a lot of problems are caused by systems, like systems that have the incentives backwards, or like that are like road to hell is paved with good intentions. Like somebody passed a law, they thought it would be great, and the unintended consequences have wreaked havoc.
the
Yeah.
fossil fuel industry is a great example of that, right? I mean, how they rewrite their own narrative. We're not poisoning the world while they poison the world, while they're making billions of dollars killing the very thing that they exist on. You know what I mean? You're not going to make billions of dollars and everybody's dead, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a great conversation. I'm sorry that we had a little tiny interruption. I should have used this account from the very, very beginning. I don't think it'll cut me off here.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
I
no.
didn't know I had I didn't know this was different, but it was allowing me to have like hour-long conversations with people with no indication that it was going to run out. And about 15 minutes in, I had a pop-up going, "Would you like more time?" Like, what do you mean more time?
Yeah, they should have a warning on that earlier, but
I wasn't paying attention. It was probably all me. Who reads pop-ups? I went right to the X every single time. It's like click.
right,
Like me
exactly.
in
Yeah.
video games too. I don't read the dialogue. I'm playing what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3 right now. There was a thing that my companion said he was going to blow himself up and take us all with him. I wasn't reading, so I said, "Okay, buddy, that sounds great." Walked away from my computer and I came back and the credits are slowly launching up the screen because I ended the game. I let my companion kill everybody. Anyway, what do you want people to know before we sign off today? Anything that we did not cover?
Um, I mean, Obviously, I'd love it if people buy my book. It's coming out this Tuesday, which is like in two
Okay,
days, which is crazy.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited and nervous. It's my
A beautiful
first,
cover. I love that cover.
yeah.
It's really, really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, like
Is it your
honestly,
art or did you pay out for it?
no. So no, I'm with a publisher. I'm with Podium.
Oh,
And yeah, so they picked it up. And but yeah, like I was planning to self-publish before Podium came along. So I don't know. I yeah, this
you're
is great.
a unicorn, huh?
A
It's not
unicorn.
happening for a lot of people.
There's a bit of a feeding frenzy right now on Royal Road. I think it is happening there. But who knows how it'll be in 2 years. So
How do you think you got Podium's attention?
I got a lot of people reading my book on Royal Road. Like I think they keep a lookout for people that are like in the Rising Stars list for a long time or something. Um,
What did you do on Rural
so
Road? Did you do anything
yeah.
special or you just
Well,
uh
what was special for me was I wrote the whole thing beforehand and then I rapid release chapters. Yeah,
yeah.
which that does seem to be a thing there. Like the people who do that do tend to get a lot more visibility.
I didn't talk to you about your process. And I really am curious about how you wrote that um series before you
Yeah.
started publishing it. I mean, it kind of sounds like having a giant piece of cheesecake that you can have for dessert or anytime you want, you know what I mean? But you waited until the proper time or something. How did you do that?
Yeah.
Especially knowing that you were going to do it as a serial. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a little okay, part of it is that I'm totally insane. Like here's the thing. Like um yeah, like yes, you're right. Like the normal thing to do is to publish as you go. That's what most people do. That's probably what I'll do for the next one. Um but
I
what
just publish
happened,
everything. It's still
yeah.
every garbage piece of found I've had on the internet. And I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't know if I'll do that. Honestly, I'm probably gonna do like save up a few for my next one as well. But yeah, for me basically I was holding out for Big Five publication before this was before the Amazon came out with Kindle. Basically like when self-publication was still like a new thing. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna self-publish. I'm gonna hold out for a Big Five contract. Like I'm sure any minute now I'll get one. And
But you
yeah, so
said Tor, right? You have a Tor series. Is that Tor the publisher?
no,
No.
no. I love that people mistake it for that though. No, it's the Torth series.
Oh, okay.
Torth. Yeah, I might have named it that on purpose. But um yeah, obviously like back in the day I really wanted to be published by Tor and I was like, "Oh, that would be awesome."
Wouldn't it? I
Um
still fantasize about that. They're one of my favorites.
I am beginning to lose the shine on that fantasy, but I think it would still be awesome, of course. If they offered me a six-figure contract, who would say no to that? Um, that'd be awesome. But I do think that they are publishing certain things, certain trends. They're following trends and they're not setting them anymore. That's my opinion. And so I'm not seeing what I like to read coming from them anymore, to be honest.
It's
And
so
so,
interesting. Who is setting those trends nowadays? You know what I mean? Somebody's deciding. Nobody's interested in anything, it feels like. Rick and Morty.
yeah, well,
That's science fiction.
you know what? No, Tor is publishing stuff that people like, but I'm not one of those people. There's a certain audience for it, and I'm just not in that audience.
I like
I
what
used to
Orbitz is
be.
putting out. I
Yeah.
bought a lot of Orbitz books lately.
Yeah, Orbit
Yeah,
is doing interesting things. Podium, which my publisher is doing interesting things in my opinion. I really like Podium. Yeah, there's some good ones out there that are doing interesting things. Tor, I think there is a readership for them, but it's not me anymore. Not so much.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a
So
good thing about changing environments is it's going to lead someplace, right? I mean, as long as you are paying attention, maybe and you were paying attention 7 years ago. So hopefully
oh, I still pay
it'll hold
attention. I
true.
pay a lot of attention to the industry, for better or worse. It makes me a little crazy. But I mean, I don't think it's healthy to watch the industry as much as I do because it does make you crazy.
Well, how
But
do you pay attention to it? What is
um,
your primary method of watching it?
oh, I'm in a million discords. I'm a member of SFWA, and Codex, and a lot of organizations that are industry related. So I see the discussions. I spend a lot of time, more time than is healthy, on social media. And yeah, so I see trends. I usually hear news before most people do about it. Yeah.
Do you think publishing has a chance?
Big Five traditional publishing. I
Any
mean,
of us. I mean, yeah, but Big Five, I mean, are they going to make it?
I think they have a death grip on the industry, and they're going to keep it as long as they can. I think, yeah, they have a lot of funding. They're funded by mega conglomerates. Um, that there's a lot of momentum behind those mega conglomerates. They're not so easy to get rid of. I think a lot of indie authors have this shiny glasses view where like, oh, any minute now they'll keel over and die, and it's like, they haven't yet. You've been saying that for 20 years.
They're just an arm underneath something else. If they fail, one of those big guys, if they start failing, somebody else will just buy them up.
Yeah,
They're worth so much more than what they put out last year. You know, that's the 75 years before that that people are buying. The
exactly.
IPs are
Like
crazy.
they have some major IP, and they're not going to get rid of it. Um, obviously, I mean, yeah, no,
They
they're
became the big five by being ruthless.
right, exactly. Yeah, so I don't think that they're just going to keel over and die. I think they're gonna hang on for dear life, and Amazon will also continue to be a juggernaut. I think Amazon has stopped innovating, unfortunately. They used to be great. Now they're just another mega conglomerate. Um,
No, I don't know if there's any future for indie publishing, honestly. I think AI is going to kill it. I do. I think the corporations have won. Now, there's no way that you can get through it anymore, publishing your own stuff.
I hope you're wrong about
Nobody's going
that.
to read you. I mean, nobody's going to read you. Our reputation is completely destroyed.
Well, I think there's still readers out there that are looking for new and innovative. They do exist. I'm one of them. I
New and
mean,
innovative exists in the self-marketing field, though. It seems like that would be the last place you'd go for new and innovative.
you gotta, yeah, you have to tune out the marketers. Yes, you're right. I mean, I find a lot of it through word of mouth.
The only place
Through
I find my stuff too is people talking about it.
right, exactly.
That's a
Yeah,
cruel, cruel way to make a living, though, because
it
how can
is.
you get people to talk about you? It's like
Well, that's the thing.
impossible.
That's the thing. Like a lot of writers seem to think like it's a get rich quick scheme, or like, this is the, I don't understand why so many people think that. Yeah, like it's sad, but it's true. Like the arts are not a lucrative business. There have been times, like rare times in history where they are, but those times are fleeting.
No, for what? Like not even a percentage of the people who do it. I mean, you do have success stories,
Yeah.
but then you have Mozart. You know, and Mozart, you speak his name, and he's a music god, but the dude got buried in a pauper grave, covered in
Yeah.
lime, and then a pauper was put right on top of him. What
Yeah.
a horrible way to die for a genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shakespeare, we don't even know if he wrote his stuff.
Right.
It's weird how we treat greatness at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like I have my favorite authors, and they're not big names, not necessarily. Like they're usually people that are you probably haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I'm one of them. Like I know I have readers that really love my stuff, and I love that. Like to me, that honestly, that's the kind of thing that keeps me going. It isn't the money. I'm not getting millions of dollars here. Um, but I do have readers that are like, I love this. Like this is the best thing I've ever read. Like, I'll read anything you write. Like this changed my life. Like this got me through the death of my husband, or like college, or I get those notes from readers.
It's
And
fantastic. That's gotta feel so good.
it does. Yeah, like that means a lot to me, and I do have a day job. That's how I make my money. Maybe someday I'll be a full-time writer, and I would love that. I think all writers would. But
You are a full-time writer, you just don't make full-time money.
that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And you can't not be as
Yeah.
you write. I mean, it's just such a thing that you have to develop all the skills for, all the little
Yeah.
tiny bits and pieces. You can't not do it full time.
Yeah.
I just got another pop-up. I hate Zoom. I don't know. I thought Google Hangouts got rid of their video chat, but maybe that's the option to go through next time.
Discord as well has video chat. That's pretty
Oh,
good.
that's right. Discord's the way I'll do
Yeah.
it next time. Discord's the best.
Yeah.
Craig. Craig's the best. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on the internet? Where would you recommend they drop in and visit
Yeah.
you?
Well, honestly, just abbygoldsmith.com, ABBYGOLDSMITH. Yeah. So,
Fantastic. Thank you again
yeah.
so much. Enjoy your summer in Texas.
Yeah. It's nice and hot. Yeah.
Namaste.